So I'm just listening to, I think his name J Mac on the Colin. He's like in relation to Colin Coward, and he was talking about a lot of things, but one thing that hit me was the AJ Brown situation, and it's unusual, unfortunate what's going on with AJ Brown. He has been getting a lot of headlines in a negative light. I think sort of in a way the Eagles, they haven't really directly said anything. From my understanding, from my perspective of this whole entire AJ Brown situation, is that, and I could be wrong, but this is my perspective, this is my opinion about it, that AJ Brown has been getting a negative light uh, from the media and sort of from the Philadelphia Eagles. I have not heard the Eagles say anything directly disrespectful or negative towards AJ Brown, but it's just been looking like how the media in, I guess you could say, what the Eagles are allowing, instead of coming out and really, I guess you could say, defending AJ Brown, is AJ Brown is looking more like a villain each and every day that the longer that he is staying on the Philadelphia Eagles roster. You see Jalen Hurts with his stoicism and his apathetic type of attitude, mentality towards the whole thing. He's just pretty much just kind of acting like it's not a big deal. He's blowing it off. But you can read in between the lines. You can just see that Jalen Hurts, I don't think he cares either way what goes on with Jalen Brown. And you can see that Jalen Hurts also, he is pretty stubborn. And you can tell by the way he plays, by the way how he deals with AJ Brown. And it's just like, hey, I'm going to do what I do. If you don't like it, AJ Brown, that's a personal problem. That's where I kind of get with Jalen Hurts in between AJ Brown. I know a lot of people are saying that it looks like that. I mean, AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, they were great friends, and now they're not great friends anymore. And more than likely, the reason why they're not great friends anymore because AJ Brown is a frustrated diva wide receiver, and he's a frustrated diva wide receiver because the fact that he is not getting AJ Brown is not getting what he wants out of Jalen Hurts. This is since AJ Brown is not getting what he wants out of Jalen Hurts, since he's not getting what he wants out of the offense, since he's not being directed towards, since he's not being used how he wants to be used by the Philadelphia Eagles. It's looking like AJ Brown is the cancer. He's the problem of the Eagles, and I think that's more than likely not fair to AJ Brown, because the fact of the matter is that wide receivers are looked up as what they can do on the field. And people who don't know the game, they automatically go to stats. They automatically go to highlights. And if AJ Brown, if his stats are down, if his highlights aren't up, then more than likely, and if you're not watching the game like you should be, or not studying the game like you should be, the vast majority is going to judge him based on that. When his next paycheck comes up, the vast majority, I mean, the Eagles or whatever team, they're going to, in the market, they're going to look at his numbers, at his tape, and say, you haven't really been a you haven't had anything to do really with the Eagles' success. And it's not fair on AJ Brown because, really, to be honest with you, without a doubt, AJ Brown is a top 10 wide receiver. He's arguably a top 5 wide receiver. And maybe few, will say that he is a top 1 wide receiver. He is the best wide receiver in the league. And you can definitely make that argument. That is the type of player that we're talking about here. That you can make a really great argument that AJ Brown is the best wide receiver in the league. And why, even with his numbers being down, he's not really showing that in the past couple of years. You got to take into consideration of the team that he's on, the quarterback that he has, and how he's being used in the offense. But when AJ Brown is being used in a way that he should be, he definitely does look like he could be the number 1 wide receiver in the league. I'm not going to say he's number 1. I always felt like it's Justin Jefferson. But with that being said, I'm saying that that's how great of a player, great of a wide receiver AJ Brown is. And I'm pretty sure AJ Brown would like to be a Hall of Famer. And right now, if his career keeps going the way it is, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer. The Eagles can get all the rings they can. He will not be a Hall of Famer if he's not being used in the right way. So AJ Brown has to be extremely selfish. He has to be even more selfish. He is in a position that demands you to be selfish for you to be great as a wide receiver. So, I mean, the receiver depends on the quarterback to give them the ball. So, but the receiver, depending on how great the wide receiver is, you got to get open. You got to have great hands. You got to be able to run the routes right. You got to do a lot of great things. I mean, and then you got to have the quarterback who can be able to give you the ball if the quarterback has that skill set to do that. And Jalen Hurts just doesn't have that skill set to do it. And I think that the wrong people, I think the wrong person in this whole entire situation is getting blamed and getting in being looked at in a negative light because I honestly feel like the problem really is with the Philadelphia Eagles is Jalen Hurts. It's not AJ Brown. It's really Jalen Hurts. And you got to put yourself in AJ Brown's shoes. AJ Brown is frustrated. He's frustrated and he's tired and he's irritated dealing with Jalen Hurts's lack of ability. And not only lack of ability, of his carelessness. You can tell that Jalen Hurts, he has a careless attitude. And so I just don't I just don't really I don't really freaking get why a lot of the negativity goes towards AJ Brown and don't go to Jalen Hurts. I really don't. And to be honest with you, Jalen Hurts, he escapes a lot of criticism and he really shouldn't because I'm telling you right now, if Jalen Hurts keeps going down the road that he's going down, with him not really playing a factor. See, AJ Brown is not playing a factor in the Philadelphia Eagles offense because of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is not playing a factor really in the success of the Philadelphia Eagles offense because Jalen Hurts is incapable of playing a factor in that offense. Yeah, he's the quarterback. He has the ball in his hands more than any other position. But if you watch the game, it's obviously that Jalen Hurts is not a great quarterback. I would not put Jalen Hurts in my top 10. A lot of people would just throw someone like Jalen Hurts in their top 10 because he has a ring. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. If he ain't had no ring, he been no Super Bowl twice, he ain't even know nobody's top 10. Nobody on planet Earth's top 10 because he doesn't play like a top 10 quarterback. And he's never, well, I ain't going to say he never has because he has early on in his career for once. But he has really declined for the past few years. Jalen Hurts has. So I think the wrong person is being attacked in this situation. And that's just my perspective. That's just my opinion on that. And it's really not even an opinion, it's a fact. You can look at the Philadelphia Eagles games, you can tell that Jalen Hurts is not really playing a factor in the team's success at all. It's obvious who's the best player on that entire offense, and it's A.J. Brown. Or maybe some will argue maybe Saquon Barkley. But Saquon Barkley even fell off last year. That entire offense was just having a downfall year. And a lot of that blame needs to go to Jalen Hurts. A lot of it needs to go to him. Because really, to be honest with you, he's the only one who lacks ability. Jalen Hurts. He's the only one. So, I mean, Saquon Barkley has always shown us what he can do. A.J. Brown has shown us what he can do. We all know what Devontae Smith can do. We know what that offensive line is made out of. We know what the Eagles tight ends room can do. But we kind of are still trying to figure out what can Jalen Hurts do. You see what I'm saying? And so that's the annoying part. And Jalen Hurts gets the excuse that he's been dealing with a different offensive coordinator every single year of his career. But when the time comes for, can Jalen Hurts get the ball to A.J. Brown? Can he get the ball to Devontae Smith consistently? And it has been looking like he can't. And see, that's the problem. I don't think the Eagles would be having this problem if they had somebody like, I'm not even going to say Joe Burrow. Like, I'm not even a huge Joe Burrow fan, but they wouldn't be having this problem if they had somebody like Joe Burrow. They wouldn't be having this problem if they had somebody like Josh Allen. They wouldn't be having this problem if they had somebody like Justin Herbert. They wouldn't be having this problem if they had somebody like Patrick Mahomes. I would even go to the extreme of saying they wouldn't have this problem if they had somebody like Jared Goff. And I think Jared Goff is an extremely overrated quarterback. They probably wouldn't even be having this problem. No, I'm not even going to say Brock Purdy because I think Brock Purdy pretty much is almost the same type of quarterback, almost like Jalen Hurts. I think Brock Purdy is incapable of a lot of things, but Brock Purdy, he prevails in a really great play calling offense, and he prevails on a really great stacked team. And so it's unfortunate, and I believe that what I'm saying is going to come to fruition. You all will see again. Like, I don't think Jalen Hurts is just going to all of a sudden just blossom out of nowhere. I honestly just don't think that he has. I don't think Jalen Hurts has the mentality to really become a great player. I don't think that Jalen Hurts is able to put his difference aside and to get rid of his stubbornness, whatever, and to really change the way he plays the game. I don't think Jalen Hurts is willing to do that. But with that being said, so I think it's within the Eagles' best interest to trade AJ Brown if they cannot really give AJ Brown what he wants, because this is going to be the same result over and over and over again. And so it's best for the Eagles to just trade AJ Brown. It's clear that they want to stick with Jalen Hurts, and so they AJ Brown, the market is soft for AJ Brown right now. It's not a lot of teams that's interested in taking on AJ Brown. AJ Brown, he is, I mean, his annual salary, 29 million, and the Eagles are asking for a first round pick. As they should. It's AJ Brown. I mean, you're talking about top 5 wide receiver, but a lot of teams are not willing to give that much up for AJ. They don't want to take on his salary. They don't want to take on that 29 million. And on top of that, they don't want to give up a first round when there's next year is a highly, highly, highly talented draft next year. So with that being said, the only trade partner that the Eagles really had early, it was looking like, was the Patriots. I mean, AJ Brown, he's familiar with Mike Vrabel, and when he was in Tennessee, it was him, Mike Vrabel, Derrick Henry. They had that pretty good offense. They had that pretty good firepower, but it doesn't. Now it's looking like the Patriots are not really in the business of trying to get AJ Brown. So I mean, for the past couple of months, the New England Patriots and AJ Brown have been tangled up in countless rumors, articles, and analysis. And they say the disgruntled Philadelphia Eagles star might prefer a reunion with head coach Mike Vrabel after years of not feeling comfortable in the city of brotherly love. However, as much as this potential transaction has been the NFL's worst kept secret for quite a while now, it seems like it is not as imminent as it sounds. So, according to NFL Network's Ian Rapport, both parties have yet to agree on the potential framework of this deal. So the Patriots may not be close to trading for AJ Brown. So report says, I just don't know that it's like snap your fingers and the deal is done. So peer report, the Eagles are still trying to get a first round pick for their star pass catcher, a steep price the Patriots might not be willing to meet. The two sides are where they had been, which is the Eagles wanting a first round pick in 2027. The Patriots, the most likely destination. We'll see if someone else arises. Not being willing to give up a first round pick as of right now, that means they're not particularly close, and there's a chance this could drag on for the foreseeable future. The thing is that if the Patriots are going to sit on their hands and not give up a first for AJ Brown, because at first it was really looking like the Patriots can get him or wanted him or were willing to give up first round for him, but now it's looking like the Patriots aren't. Will there be other teams that will arise to get AJ Brown that will be in the sweepstakes of trying to get AJ Brown? There is, at least all 32 teams in the NFL can benefit from him, all of them, even the Cincinnati Bengals. But will who are the potential teams that makes more sense to get AJ? I will say I will say the I've heard the Raiders. I would not want to see one with the Raiders. I think that would be I would think that would be a bad destination for AJ Brown. To be honest with you, evidently AJ Brown wants to go to a team that has a shot of the Super Bowl. You got the Bills. I think the Bills would be a wonderful destination for AJ Brown. You got the I think the Falcons would be a good destination for AJ Brown. You got the Falcons, but I don't think they will make a run for the Super Bowl. So you got the Bills. I think the Chiefs will be. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, even though I don't see the Jacksonville Jaguars going to the Super Bowl, but I do see the Jacksonville Jaguars making a good playoff run. I think Jacksonville will be a nice destination for AJ. I think also, let's see, the Chargers. I think the Chargers will be an awesome destination for AJ, but I don't know if the Chargers are willing to take on that salary. You got the Let's see, let me think of who else. That's all I could think. I mean, I don't know what other team would. Yeah, except the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bills, the Ravens will be solid. The Ravens will be solid. Those teams. I think those teams with those quarterbacks will be great for AJ. But Brown is one of the best wide receivers in the game. Though it's unlikely that any team will be willing to part ways with their first round pick to get him. He dealt with injuries and had problems with both teams he's played for, not to mention that the 2027 NFL draft class promises to be one of the most stacked in years. That's what we just talked about that. So that's another thing. That's why another reason why a lot of teams are really like, we don't know if we want to give up a first round for AJ. With next year's draft in 2027 being the most talented draft in recent memory. So, and then the Patriots, they may be in the sweepstakes of getting Jeremiah Smith because the Patriots may have a very bad year this year. They may have an off year this year. They have a really tough schedule, and I still want to see more from Drake May. They they got a little bit of help with wide receiver, but they lost to Stephon Diggs. So, and then you got the Mike Vrabel situation, and it's been kind of a bit of a distraction with the New England Patriots, and so we don't know. Like, the Patriots could be picking very early in the first round next year, and New England's like, are we an AJ Brown away of winning a Super Bowl? And I think you're never one player away of winning a Super Bowl. Winning the Super Bowl is collectively of a lot of things, and the Patriots are probably thinking about this, and they're like, we give a first round for AJ Brown, and we lose that first round in the most talented draft in recent memory. I don't know if I want to do that. They could be in the game of getting Jeremiah Smith. So I think the Eagles are thinking about that. So, and Jeremiah Smith more than likely is going to be a better player than AJ Brown. So more than that, the fact that he's gone on the record to talk about this content with his role can only hurt his trade value. The Eagles created a logjam at the position by adding Mekhi Lemon, Dontavian Wicks, and Marquise Brown, and that also ultimately drives Brown's value down. Everybody in the league can tell they're preparing to lose him. Ultimately, they may have no choice but to lower their asking price as Brown's situation has become too much of a distraction. That's if the Eagles are going to want to get rid of AJ Brown, that's what they're going to have to do. Eagles fans, your team is going to have to lower the asking price of him. You're more than likely going to have to say that you're going to ask for a second round. It's the Eagles are asking for too much for him. And the fact that you all signed these wide receivers and then drafted a wide receiver, okay, just get over yourself. And I think the GM needs to get over himself, Hausman, and he needs to go ahead and just be like, okay, we're asking for a second round, or take on his salary, So do something. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to be dealing with a wide receiver who's not happy and who can end up being more of a distraction, and it's just going to be more of a hell for the team. So you're just going to have to take that loss. You're going to have to bite the bullet, and you're going to have to decrease your asking price, or keep him on your team and deal with the hell. Because it's not. I don't see it changing. Because I don't see Jalen Hurts changing. That's the problem. It's not the situation is not going to change because Jalen Hurts is not going to change. I'm saying the problem is Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles made it clear that they're going to ride with Jalen Hurts over this situation. Now they also did make it clear that I think they also did also make it clear that they're not going to be dealing with Jalen Hurts for the foreseeable future if Jalen Hurts doesn't show up this year. So maybe the Eagles can give this one more year and see what happens. And if nothing works out, they should just more than likely get rid of both players. And or just get rid of Jalen Hurts, keep JJ Brown. That's what I would do if I was a GM. I would just do the obvious thing. I would get rid of the person, the weaker link. So that's just my opinion. But it's whatever. But that's all I got right now. Thank you all so much for watching. I thank you all so much for your support. I would like you for the like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want me to talk about your team, your player, or a story dealing with the league, the NFL, the college, whatever, anything that deals with football, if you want me to talk about that story, give me a shout out, reach out to me, and I'll talk about it. I really have no problem. I have no problem talking about anything that deals with football. I mainly talk about the NFL on this channel, but I talk about college every now and then and stuff. So, and maybe one day eventually I'll even talk about high school, because it's football in this channel. There's no days off in this channel. It's all day, and the football content, the football stories is limitless and it's infinite. And evidently, the main thing is on this channel is the NFL, but I don't mind talking about other things that's going on in the football ecosystem. So yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I thank you all so much for watching. And we'll be back tomorrow all day, no days off. Deuces.